What is going on, my Atomic Autoworks friends? So today we're working on a Honda bagger. That's right, a Honda bagger. You don't see these a lot. So my friend over at Popeye's Custom Paint in Durham, Connecticut, he actually builds some really weird stuff. Always doing something different. This one here is probably the widest rear tire or rear fender I've seen. I believe he said he took 2 fenders, winded them, then he put some Harley saddlebags on here. This thing is a behemoth. So what we are tasked with doing is making a seat for it. We already made the pan and started foaming it, so we're kind of jumping ahead in this video, and I wanted to talk a little bit about what we're doing. And this is pretty common. This was like really common back in the day when people were building the drop seat choppers, and some guys would make this really radical drop seat so you can sit really low in the bike. But the problem is people never honestly estimate the width and girth and size of your butt and sitting area. So we used to do that, and people would make a chopper like this thinking it's really cool, and they'd make you drop seat this deep, but by the time you got quarter way down, it was too narrow and you couldn't sit there. So then we have to foam it really high, and the seats looked horrible. It defeated the entire purpose. So luckily with Popeye doing this, I know this is one of the first more drop seat styles he's done. Luckily he didn't do that as much, a little bit, but we're able to still make it look good and be comfortable. So let me show you what I'm talking about. So you can see how far down this is and how narrow it is in here. When you actually sit on that, there's not a lot of room. So when we put our seat that we made on here, in order to make this comfortable, we had to come up about this high. So you start to lose a little of that drop seat look. Fortunately, because this fender goes up high, we're able to give it a nice kick in the front and back, and that really takes your eyes off the fact that we need a little bit more foam on the bottom. We're also, when we make the seat cover, we're gonna radius this more and put our stitch line a little lower. That's like a way to trick your eyes so it doesn't look like the foam's as thick as it has to be to lift you up. Now, I still do have to go up probably another ½ inch on here. I sat on it. I had Popeye come by and sit on it because he's about the same height as the rider. I'm a little shorter. He sat on it and kind of liked where it was at now, but did agree that a little bit more would probably be better. So we're gonna bring it up a little bit more, like maybe a ½ inch. We're gonna sculpt this whole thing out and start making the pattern. If you ever want to really piss off an upholstery guy, take their foam cutting tools and use them on metal or plastic. It ruins it. Like if you put this blade on here and I grind foam with it, I could do this for like months and months and months. You hit metal one time and it ruins it. So I'm gonna have to change this blade here. Get new paper on here. Let's see how it works. Way better. What's funny is this is ½ inch. I stopped using it for years and I couldn't remember why I stopped using it because it's been so long. I've been using ½ inch and then I sand it and stack it and do it that way. So I said, let's try some ½ inch Landau. Luan is wood. Landau top foam is foam. So anyway, I'm like, why have I stopped using the Landau top foam in ½ inch? Well, I remember now. When you sand it, if you look, I think you could see, there's actually double layers. It's like they tried to laminate 2 pieces of ½ inch to make a ½ inch, and when you go to sand it and sculpt it, it delaminates. If you have to sand this down a little bit and then you go to actually pull it, it's gonna peel apart like that. See, that just peels apart in spots. Kind of like, I don't like using it. The reason I brought this up is because I think it's funny. I've been watching this YouTube channel with Bad Chad, the guy from Nova Scotia, and I kind of like it because he did this video where he showed doing everything the wrong way. And he like primered over 80 grit sand scratches. He did all this different stuff. And I think it's funny because I've been wanting to do that. Just do everything the wrong way and see what happens, because when it comes to customers' vehicles, we have to do everything right. We use top of the line materials, and we use them because for 20 something years, we've learned what's the best and we kind of stick with that. Well, we never really go back. So this year I wanted to go back. I can't do it on your vehicles, but I can do it on our vehicles. We're gonna start doing our own vehicles and doing things almost the wrong way to see why we do them the right way and see if maybe things have changed. Because like we used to use House of Colors paint. We were like a big House of Colors shop. We used to do so many candy apple cars and ghost graphics and all that stuff. We did hundreds of vehicles, like lowriders and custom cars and candies and muscle cars and everything. Over the years, we kind of got away from it. Well, we actually went from House of Colors to PPG. We started actually using the PPG clear coats because the House of Colors clear coats looked incredible, but we were having a problem back then where if it chipped, you couldn't feather edge it, and it almost didn't have a cohesion to itself. It could have been user error. I mean, I was 20 years old, 18 years old when we were doing this. So I'm curious to see if it was my issues or that, but we ended up switching over to PPG clear coats. So we use a lot of House of Colors candies and base coats and top them off with PPG clear coats. We were very happy with PPG, so we started using more PPG base coats and all that stuff and really got into that system and loved that. We used that for years. It really wasn't until we had an issue where there was nobody in our area that sold it anymore, so it was difficult to get. And the one place that was selling it, it was like they'd come once or twice a week. Sometimes if they miss you, you'd have to wait, and it was just kind of awkward. So we had a supplier come by from Glazerith, and he said, you know what? He didn't want to push us on it. He said, epoxy primers are epoxy primers, and we had a problem where we couldn't get an epoxy and we needed it. So I said, you know what? Let me try your epoxy primer. It was like a 701, I think it was. So anyways, we got that epoxy primer, and he's like, you know what? It's an epoxy. You can't sand it. It's hard to work with, blah, blah, blah. It was so easy to work with. You could sand it afterwards, which we had a problem with PPG DP epoxy primers. You really, to sand them afterwards was a bear. Because a lot of times with what we do, we want to sand and make sure it's perfect before we move to the next step. So I tried their Glazerith epoxy primer, and I fell in love with it. So I said, you know what, let me try your high build primer. Because back then we were using, I think it was K36, I believe it was, from PPG, which was a great primer. If they still make it, it's still a great primer. I don't really know the paint system anymore because we've veered away from it. So they sent us over one of their high build primers, and I remember we're sanding it, and one of the guys that worked part-time here worked full-time at a sit-in shop. He went and he was sanding the primer. He's like, oh my Lord, this is like the best sanding primer I've ever sanded in my life. It was like just a pleasure to sand, like you enjoyed sanding it. So then we switched over to the Glazerith high build primers. And I said, well, if that's working so good, let's try their base coat out. And their base coat worked a lot like PPG, where when you put the color on, it covered. It was a beautiful, nice covering paint. You know, and that's the one thing that I loved about PPG is when you airbrushed it or painted on their base coat, it covered, and it was really nice. We switched there and we said, let's try their clear coat. Again, their clear coat was incredible, and we've been using that ever since. Sometimes on certain motorcycles, we'll actually still use PPG just because PPG, I guess, was the factory color for a lot of the Harley paint. But other than that, you know, we are primarily Glazerith now. So with that said, we want to try some different stuff, and I want to show you why we don't use half-inch Landau foam. All right, so as I'm shaving this, you can see it's starting to peel. You can see as you break through the layers, it's actually not, it doesn't stick to itself. This one actually peeled completely off. Let me see if I can get another one to do it. I'll do it over here. So right there, you see that? Perfect. So as I'm sanding it, it just peels off. So this is a 1/4 inch and a 1/4 inch to make a 1/2 inch, but you can see here it's not even stuck. So when we do our Landau foams and we need to bond it, we actually sand this, really rough it up to get the skin off of it, and then we put our glue on it so that it adheres really well and do the same thing to the surface that it's sticking to. So it doesn't do this, because once you do that, now you have to fill that or sand that right down, and it's kind of a nightmare. So that's why we do 1/4 inch foam, because we don't want to do that. Even though we're trying something different by trying something we used to use, we learned why we didn't do it, and we're going to continue using our 1/4 inch and get away from the 1/2 inch. Now that these are rough foamed, I actually want to go take it and put it on the bike and see what it looks like. If it looks good, we're going to finish the foam and upholster it. All right, so I'm digging this seat. Comfort-wise, it looks pretty good. Yeah, that 1/2 inch we added to it made a huge difference. Why? How? Okay, you come hop over this. You tell me. How can you look cool hopping? Okay, show me. Look cool hopping on this bike. You think about a bagger. This is like 2 feet longer than a bag. You look like leprechaun. You got to redo it. Now get off without hurting yourself. Look at that. No, all right, so we have the seat all foamed up, and we are doing the pattern on it. He actually looked at a bunch of pictures of seats we did, and he liked, ironically, Derek's seat. It would be nice to have Derek's seat here so we could show you what it looks like and have a video, but it's only been like 6-7 months and he can't drive the bike over. He lives like, I don't know, like what, 2 minutes away from us maybe? Not even, like maybe a mile away, and he hasn't been able to ride his bike over here once. We made the seat so we could do a video on it and develop our new seats, and we're gonna do this like really cool video and show you guys what one of our seats look like on a bike, but unfortunately it's too difficult for him to bring the bike over here. I had to look at a picture that when we did the seat, Derek's here. So we're going to do this, but what's difficult on this seat is actually when you, I'll show a picture of Derek's bike. So we did a streamlined seat that's really sleek and low profile, and it looks cool. This is kind of the opposite. It's kind of like wider and fatter and stubbier. So we had to do the same design, but we couldn't have it as sleek as that one is. He liked how we did like a cool pinstripe thing on Derek's, but we're going to do a tiki type of old school pinstriping with his company logo in it, which is basically a R. So we're going to do that. As I finish up the seat, you know, I forgot I wanted to say something. I actually had said something about that bad Chad doing everything wrong earlier in the video. When I watched the clip back, it was actually kind of sounded wrong. I wasn't like trying to like say he's doing everything wrong or whatever. In his video, like everybody trolls everybody on the internet. People must have been heckling him, telling him he's doing things the wrong way. So they picked out a lot of things that he does and said they're all wrong. And one of them was like he said, for instance, you can't primer over 80 grit scratches and paint the car. And he goes and does it. So it's kind of funny to take those things that people say you can't do and do them and prove them wrong. Now we know, like, obviously we wouldn't primer over 80 grit scratches, but 20 years ago you would primer over 36 grit scratches and sand do that. You know, people had like different levels of detail. The reason why you wouldn't sand over or prime over like an 80 grit scratch is because the new materials they're thinner. They're made to be sprayed thinner. You don't want a big thick millage and big buildup. So like before, if you painted a car black with no metallics and you primered the heck out of it and you went over like 36 or 80 grit scratches and sanded those things out, yes, the primer would fill them, but what's going to happen is it's going to shrink over time. And so if it's black and you have enough base coat and enough clear coat, you could probably wet sand and buff it in the future and just keep doing that every time it shrinks. You know, so there's different things. So obviously in his video, he does that and he does a whole bunch of different stuff. And every time someone called him out, he just did it and proved that you can do it. So I thought it was kind of funny. So I just wanted to clarify that a little bit. So I'm going to finish this up and show you what it looks like on the bike. You can see we did like an old school tiki pinstriping back here. We incorporated his R, which is always really difficult to do, a single letter in something, you know. It's